What's up, you guys? First video of the channel. Welcome. Excited to be here recording this. And for those of you that don't know me, my name is Lucca, and let's just say that I've been through quite the health journey in the past 4 to 5 years, yeah, more or less. And I recently started sharing it on Instagram and TikTok and shorts, short form content. And the repercussion has been quite nice. I've been able to make some good videos and help out a few people. But with that said, I do feel like short form content is a bit limited in the sense that it doesn't really allow me to fully substantiate my claims or to fully explain what I'm talking about or break down some more important and complex concepts that is hard for people to understand normally just on like a short form video, which is why I'm here making this YouTube channel, making this long form content. And I also always thought that being a YouTuber was kind of cool, so here we are. So let me tell you guys a little bit about my story and my condition, what I went through, all of this stuff. Growing up, I was someone that had horrible, and I mean horrible eating habits. My mom was actually very health conscious, and she would try to force me to eat like all this health food. She would only buy like healthy stuff in the house, but that backfired like completely because I would refuse to eat anything that she gave me pretty much, or would just like pretend to eat like a little bit here and there. And then I would either go and make myself something unhealthy or go to school or go out and like buy something unhealthy, I would also eat out a lot with my grandparents and my dad, which food-wise just got me whatever I wanted. And my go-to order was always like this fried sushi roll, like this huge fried sushi roll of salmon. And after that, 8 scoops of ice cream. Yes, 8. You didn't hear me wrong. I was a little bit of a fat ass. And 4 of those scoops were mint chocolate chip and the other 4 were acai flavor. And I used to mix them together into like this huge concoction thing. It was crazy stuff, like super good, but super unhealthy. And this wasn't like gelato or like these better quality ice creams that you have nowadays. It was like the full unnatural stuff full of like hydrogenated fats and so on. Terrible for you, like one of the really the worst things that you can eat and put in your body. So I wasn't always this health conscious guy that I am right now. And I became it because of necessity, not because of choice, but you guys are gonna understand. And sports wise, I practiced some sports here and there. I played football, I did jujitsu and so on, but nothing crazy. And I was always kind of lazy, to be honest. I wasn't really like moving around and exercising too much. Despite all of this, I was never overweight and I never really had any type of health issues. And that's normal as like a teen/teenager because your body still can handle so much at that time and it doesn't get to the breaking point, as I like to call it, At that age, we think we're like little gods and that our actions don't have any consequences and what we put in our bodies is not gonna have repercussions in the future. But eventually the bill comes, and in my case, it came twice and in pretty bad ways. So let me tell you guys about this. First time that I got the bill was when I was around 15 to 17 and I started developing really bad acne, like I mean horrible, all over my face, my chest, my back, my torso, like my arms, like everywhere pretty much. And it was like big, like cystic inflammatory acne. I might even have some pictures I'll show you guys, I'll put in there. This really took a toll on my self-esteem and on my mental health, and pretty much I just stopped wanting to get out of the house, stopped wanting to go to school, to like socialize with people, meet with friends, talk with new people, like you just get very much in your own head and you don't want to leave because you think that you're ugly or that people are gonna see you as like unclean. And let's just face it, it does not look good, having a face full of acne. And because of this, I just wanted to fix this issue as fast as possible. So I took the easy way out and I took Accutane for 1 year at a very high dosage. Now, at the time, I didn't know how big of a mistake this was, but as I said, I just wanted to fix it quickly. So I took it, and more or less 1 year after, my acne was gone. So like any stupid teenager would do, I decided to compensate for this whole year that I was hiding in my bedroom by going out as much as possible and like living as much as possible, And at the time, that included going to parties, drinking a lot, taking a few illegal substances here and there, and so on. And that carried into my early adulthood because I went to university at around 18, 19, and this was exactly after the COVID-19 lockdowns. So everyone was like eager to party and like itching themselves to go out and so on. And this is exactly what we did when I got to university on my first semester. Went a bit crazy, and that's when I got my second bill. And I remember as if this was yesterday because it was a horrible day for me. Okay, so I went out in Madrid partying, and after an intense night out, I got back home and I decided to get some food. I got some paellas, some rice with seafood, tomatoes, and so on, like a typical Spanish dish. And I ate it, and right after it, I felt terrible. I felt like super nauseous, like I was going to puke and so on. But I thought it was a momentary thing, so I just went along with my day. And then time for the next meal came. I ate something else again, and I still felt the same way. And I was like, okay, this is weird, but whatever. Maybe it's just like I'm recovering from the hangover. I don't know, we'll see. Next day, I go to eat something again and I'm still feeling like this. And I'm like, okay, there's something going on here. Something's weird. And pretty much everything I ate after that day, I would get bloated, lethargic, brain fog, sometimes even a headache. I would have to like lay down or like sit down after a meal and just be like, like, you know, it's super hard to digest. And I knew that something was wrong. I started eating what I thought was the healthiest and like the easiest to digest meal, which was basically chicken and rice, like as bland as that, like almost no seasonings. And I would still feel bad after it. I would still feel bloated and lethargic. I actually started fasting the whole day and just eating at night, because if I ate like a normal human would do, you know, like breakfast, lunch, and dinner, I wouldn't be able to function. Like, I wouldn't be able to go to uni, to like meet with my friends, socialize, study, whatever. Like, I would have to lay down after every single meal because I would feel so incredibly bad. So I started eating only when I knew I was going to bed right after, or that I had nothing to do right after, which was dinner. I spent around 4 months like this, but eventually the semester ended and I went back to my home country, back to Brazil for the summer. And there I went to a bunch of doctors to like figure out what was going on with me. So I did a bunch of testing, blood work, endoscopy, a bunch of other stuff, and all the results came out fine, you know, and the doctors didn't really know what was going on with me. They just said I had this thing called irritable bowel syndrome, or IBS, but they didn't really know what was causing it other than stress. And they said that I would have to live with this for the rest of my life. And at that point, I knew that this was total and utter bullshit, because I wasn't really a stressed person to begin with. I was never really someone that was really stressed or anxious. I always had somewhat of a positive attitude towards life. And I could feel it deep within myself that there was something else like fundamentally wrong with myself. It wasn't just a stress issue, you know? So at that point, I decided to take matters into my own hands and heal this on my own. And this led me into a huge health journey, learning everything about holistic health, about diet, supplementation, lifestyle, and so on. I experimented with everything. I read lots of books, scientific studies. I watched podcasts, YouTube videos, any type of information and knowledge about health that I could get my hands on, I would consume it. But most importantly, I would implement it myself. I would try and test out all these different things. So I literally tried all the different diets. I was vegan at one point, I was vegetarian, I was carnivore, I was animal-based, I was keto. I tried the whole spectrum of diets until I finally figured out what works for most people and what was causing my issues. I did lots of breath work, lots of meditation. I was meditating on a daily basis for like 2 to 3 years. So from 2021 until now pretty much, and I just stopped, and I'll explain to you guys why I stopped as well. I did affirmations, I did frequency healing, I did specific exercises. I did everything, literally. But most importantly, I learned a lot about nutrition, and I fixed my diet at this point, and I started feeling a lot healthier, a lot better. My condition was under control. But I still felt like there was something missing. I still felt like I wasn't truly healed, because if I ever deviated from my diet, I would feel horrible again. Not to the same extent as before, but I wouldn't feel great either. And I wanted to get back to a point where I could pretty much eat anything, at least for one meal, and like just enjoy maybe some burgers and fries with friends and still feel fine after. So I knew that there was something else to do. There was more to my condition, and that I needed to go a step further. And that's when I first came in contact with the second part of this equation, which was really crucial in like healing me and in healing other people, which is detoxing. When I first heard about detoxing, I thought that this kind of sounded like bullshit as well. And it's just like such a loaded word that people throw here and there, you know, like detox this, detox that, detox your liver, you know? I thought it was a bit bullshit. I was like, yeah, whatever. But as I dove more into it, it started making a lot of sense, and I started seeing that most of the issues that people have nowadays, most of the diseases and the conditions, they come from one of two things, or these two things combined even: an excess of toxins, an overload of toxins in the body, and a deficiency in nutrients. Now, which comes first is kind of a chicken and the egg type of situation, but the fact is that we can address both if you want to heal. So I started looking into some pretty advanced detox protocols, but the bad part is that I didn't have access to any of the products that I needed, let alone the time to do this in university. But then, like a present from heaven, I got the opportunity to work with a famous nutrition influencer in Costa Rica, and needless to say, I took it. I was for 6 months in Costa Rica, and I was able to go to the United States a couple of times as well and get a bunch of detox products and supplements. I would literally go take a small bag and just fill it up with as many supplements as I could, and then go back to Costa Rica to try all of them out alone in the jungle. So for 6 months, I was experimenting on myself with a huge amount of detox protocols, supplements, anything you could imagine, and I was also learning learning a lot from the health influencer that I worked with. And these 6 months that I spent up there in Costa Rica were some of the most transformative ones of my life in terms of health, because I left that place feeling so at peace and like so whole and like with such knowledge of what I could do and how I could help people like heal through the same conditions that I had. And that's what I started doing. I started coaching my family that were struggling with a few health issues. I started coaching close friends. I started coaching acquaintances and like referrals that I would get from these close friends and from these family, all the way from some small tips here and there, supplement suggestions, from developing full-on detox protocols and relaying onto them. And they started seeing some really good improvements. And that's when I knew that I had something real to offer to people in this case, and that I really wanted to do it. With that being said, I do have to recognize that I got a little bit paranoid with all this detox stuff and with having like the perfect protocol and the perfect diet and making everything like super perfect, you know, like wake up at this time, take these supplements, then do this, do that, you know, do this protocol, do this cleanse, do this thing, you know. And even though I got to a point where my physical health was great, I started limiting myself a lot because of these fears of going back to the place that I was, fear of these toxins or fear of these things that weren't going to be good for my body. And lo and behold, my mental health started suffering, which caused my physical health to start suffering again. And that's when another piece of the health equation came to me, which is your mental health, your emotions, how you feel, what do you do with your life on a daily basis. And I realized that I was putting myself into this little box of I have to eat like this and take these supplements and only do this, and I can't go out for dinner with friends, and I can't go out for lunch with these people, or I can't go to the movies, or I can't go out partying, or I can't do this, can't do that, you know. I was just restricting my life so much and putting myself into a little box. You know, when they put those things in the horses so they can keep on going forward, I was just like that, you know, just looking at one thing. I had to coach myself again. I had to watch out what beliefs I had, watch out for some things that I was doing wrong in regards to food and to supplementation. And I started to open up more, you know, started going out more with friends, started going to other restaurants, started like opening up my life that became so restricted because of what I did to myself and my beliefs about health. And to my surprise, I was feeling amazing because I got my body back to a state where I was able to tolerate the bad stuff again, you know. I could finally go out to some friends, have a burger and fries, which of course are not healthy for you, but there are also some benefits to like being with people that you liked and hanging out and so on. And I would feel fine after. I wouldn't feel like dying like I would have a couple years ago. And that's the message that I want to bring to you guys. Health is multifactorial. It's not only the food that you eat, the supplements that you take, the exercises you do, it's also what you do with your day. How are you feeling? Do you have a sense of purpose? Are you surrounded by people that care about you and that motivate you? Do you care about other people and do you want to help them? Are you doing the things that you want to be doing? All of these things play into your health, and you need to obtain a balance of all these things if you really want to be a healthy person. Because at the end of the day, health, in my opinion, is life, is vitality, is energy, is being able to go out there and do the things that you really want to be doing, is being able to show up for the people that you care for, where your full energy and your full presence, is being able to be yourself, your true self, your authentic self, and do the things that you want to do without caring about anyone else's judgment. This is what health is to me. Literally, one of the reasons why I wanted to get so healthy in the first place was that so I could go back to living like a normal person, hanging out with my friends, having a couple of beers, going to a restaurant, and not having to feel like death afterwards. It's life. It's all about life. It's all about energy. It's all about vitality. It's all about raising your vibration in a will. I know it's corny to say that, but it's kind of true at the end. And trust me, there's no point in like trying to be perfect and trying to be super healthy and trying to have everything lined up and the perfect diet, the perfect supplements. None of that matters in the end if you're not living the life that you want to live. So that's my message to you guys. Let's reclaim your health. Let's reignite the spark that is in every single one of us that wants to experience life fully without any limitations. You are capable of this, and deep down you know it, and I want to help you with that. And this usually means starting with the physical, because it's like steps on a staircase. If you're not really feeling well physically, you can't really feel well mentally and emotionally and eventually spiritually. So you gotta address this thing first and then these other things after or along the way. So this is what I'm going to be covering here in this channel. Everything you need to be healthy in the physical way, in the mental way, in an emotional way, spiritual way, and so on, so you can live a truly vibrant life. And guys, don't get the wrong message. By no means am I saying that I have all of this figured out. I still have a long way to go, believe me. And I'm still in this process as much as you guys. I'm still a beginner in many areas, and I still have a lot to learn, especially on the mental, emotional, and spiritual areas. The only difference between me and you is that I had a horrible condition and I was forced to take the steps to become a better and healthier version of myself. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to live properly. But now I realize that everything I've been through, all the pain, all the sleepless nights, all the questioning, all of that was truly a blessing in disguise, because I can come here and share my experience with everyone and then help anyone that's been going through the same conditions, or help someone that's growing up never have to go through these conditions in the first place. And one thing I realized is that I don't have to be at the state of perfect health where I'm 100% perfectly healthy and have no issues and I am so aware of myself and my mental's in the right place and my emotions are controlled and I'm super spiritual. I don't have to be at that place to help people. I just need to share my experience and everything that I learned, and that's exactly what I'm doing. The truth is, the state of perfection is a mental trap that we always fall fall prey to. We think that once you finish something, once you obtain a certain goal, after I do this thing or after I become this person, I can finally be happy. But that's not the case at all. Life is now, and you choose how you want to live it every single day. You can and should always aim to improve yourself and develop, but don't let that prevent you from living. Living and improving yourself are not mutually exclusive and in fact really help each other out. So let's make the right choices about how to live life together so we can all be more vibrant and thriving human beings in the end. Let's reclaim your health and let's reclaim your birthright to abundance. Hope you guys liked the video and I see you on the next ones. Peace out.